Arts Talk with the Johnson Brothers. Your hosts are printmaker, painter, illustrator Dwayne Johnson and actor, director, playwright, cartoonist Dennis Johnson. Each week they'll bring you guest artists who will talk about what it's like working in their selected field of art, their careers, and any upcoming projects they might have. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne and Dennis.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Our guest today is Sharon Wright. Sharon has been getting a lot of attention for her acting, writing, and directing with the films Tell Me You Love Me and Change for a Dollar. Welcome to the show, Sharon.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Sharon, tell us how you got started in acting.
You know, it was completely by accident. I had a very good position within a company. I worked for 7-Up, and I was a direct manager for their grocery division. And a friend of mine actually encouraged me to go be an extra in a film that was filming there in Kansas City at the time. And I agreed to go. And as soon as I walked onto the lot, I was like, oh, my God, I have to do this. And so I decided to get some pictures done, and I found the ISP there in Kansas City, and I became a part of it. And yeah, I fell in love with it, and I knew that was exactly what I needed to do.
What show was that?
It's a movie called, oh my gosh, you're putting me on the spot, Last Ounce of Courage, and it's coming out on DVD soon, so we're very excited.
How long ago was it?
Wow.
How long have you been doing it?
I've been acting for about 3.5 years now, almost 4, and I walked on set, to be an extra, and they invited me to be a reporter, and they said, would you like to be a reporter? And I was like, absolutely. So I go chasing after the actor, and I was completely, enamored with everybody involved. There were the cranes and the lights and the trailers, and, all I wanted to do was be a part of it, and they let me. And so I became basically this set rat. And I showed up on set all the time just to watch the filming and the process, and I decided that I had to be a part of it in some way, and so that's where I got my start.
Was that a fairly big budget or somewhat big budget film?
I think that it probably qualified for an ultra-low budget. There were certain people involved with it, such as Fred Williamson, who became my, set buddy. We would go to the bar and drink beer a lot, and but it was a kind of a faith-based film, and has a very positive message. And I was completely moved by so many people that were, there just because of the love of film, and I had to be a part of it. It was an amazing, moving, life-changing event.
Were you one of those people that when you went to the set, you just had to absorb everything and take it in? Did it influence you later on, your work?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, being involved in that really changed. It was literally life altering. I mean, I had a very successful career. I had a very stable family. I had everything that I thought that I wanted. And when I went on set, literally everything changed. And I decided that, I wanted to be a part of this. And never in my life had I dreamed that I wanted to be an actor or a model or any of those things. And it just opened my eyes to an entirely new life. And so I basically, I gave up my job. I gave up everything to be a part of this world. And I've never looked back. Never once thought, that I was doing the wrong thing. I knew that I had found my path, and it's been amazing, absolutely amazing.
You were raised in Missouri. Did you leave Missouri to go to Hollywood for acting, or were you already in Los Angeles?
No, We actually moved to LA about a year ago. It'll be a year in January. I had never thought of even dreaming of going to LA. I was perfectly content being, a Kansas City-based actor, and then of course I became a filmmaker. But I had always thought that, I was perfectly happy being a Kansas City-based person. I never wanted to leave the area. I had such great friends that actually became my family. I was entrenched in the Independent Filmmakers Coalition there in Kansas City, and I was so happy, and I absolutely loved it. And it wasn't until something, catastrophic happened that forced me out of Kansas City that I thought, okay, I've made that transition, and now I can transition to a bigger market. I liked being the big fish in a small town, but I was kind of overexposed in Kansas City to the point that I don't think anybody could really work with me anymore, because I was in every, not every film, and that sounds very, I guess, braggadocious about me, but that wasn't the case. I was involved so heavily in everything that was going on in Kansas City that there really wasn't any other place for me to go but to come to LA. And so when Gary, who is my boyfriend and I love him dearly, when he wanted to come back to LA because he had worked here before, my daughter was graduating high school and going on to college, and I thought, okay, well, maybe this is the next step that I'm supposed to take. And so yes, we moved to LA, and it's been a great transition year, and everything is happening the way that it's supposed to, and I'm very pleased. But no, I never had any intentions of moving beyond Kansas City. So it's been a big change.
Did you have any acting background before that, like in high school or college or anything like that?
No, I never did drama. I never really tried to be a model or any of those things. And so it was completely random. I had decided, once upon a time that, it would be something fun, and had started taking steps in that direction probably when I was about 26 or so. And I'm starting to give away my age, and that's never a good thing. But so I kind of explored that idea, but really wasn't confident in myself and prepared for what it would take to be able to do it. My kids were young, and so my obligations were, to them and developing them and my family and all of that. And so it wasn't until I was, my kids were older and I was older and much more confident in myself that I decided to take that step. And, walking on set for Last Ounce of Courage really, just opened my eyes to the entire process.
How valuable would you say an education, I guess you could say, of being on set and observing everything, not just coming in as an extra or as an actor and doing just the one thing, and how valuable is it for somebody to see the whole process?
No, I think it's absolutely imperative that, if anybody has aspirations in being an actor or, being involved in the industry at all, I think it's imperative that they spend some time on set, whether it's being an extra or a PA or whatever the case is. I think that being involved in seeing how the process works and seeing how hard everybody works and how the machine itself operates, you have to have that understanding. And I'm kind of the opposite against everybody. I've never taken a film class. I've never had professional training, as it's said, but I think understanding how everybody connects and how all the parts work together is so imperative. It makes you appreciate everybody's position in the job and how I don't know, it's such a complex machine But I think it's imperative that and anybody that wants to be involved needs to be an extra or be a PA or whatever and understand, how it works.
Have you found that most of the people on the sets are pretty open for people to ask questions and or learn from them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you there's never a stupid question. Well, I mean, people will perceive it that way, but there's never a stupid question. I think anybody that, is interested in the industry has probably done, I would hope, some sort of research and understand, why they're doing what they're doing or how they're doing what they're doing. And, being involved in the process is so important to your training as an actor or, as, like, if you want to get into being a gaffer or, a best boy or whatever. I think that you have to be involved and you have to experience what it's like, as an outsider. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be on the set for Friday Night Lights, and you just, as an outsider coming in, you really don't know what's all involved with filming. I mean, the
right.
actors and directors and writers, but like the gaffer and the production assistants and all these other people running around crazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I don't think people don't realize how many people it takes to make a very, like a high production. And, people don't realize how much work goes into it. And people don't realize, your PAs, I'm sorry, I'm not calling people out, but, your PAs are there before anybody, and they're the last persons that leave, and they make less than the actors do. They're the hardest working bunch. And so you see, like, even coming to L.A., and I think it's a kind of a rite of passage when you come to L.A., you work as a background person. And so, of course, I did that when I first got here. But you see people that, come in as a background person, and they treat these people like dirt. And, and it's so sad because they're putting up with more crap than anybody else in the entire, film production. And I give props to any PA out there.
So you've done acting and writing and producing and directing. Which do you find more enjoyable? Or which is the hardest for you?
I think, of course, acting is where my heart lies. I prefer to be in front of the camera. I like to explore different characters and to involve myself and engage myself in becoming something that either I'm not or something that, that I feel from my emotional standpoint I connect with very deeply. And I think that being a director, of course, is much more difficult because, when I did Change for a Dollar, I was the director, the writer, the producer, I did literally everything. My poor props guy, Dustin Adair, bless his heart, I would send him a list of props, and then I would send him an email directly after and go, okay, I already got this, and I already did this. And being a producer being a director is so much harder because you're responsible for literally everything. Everything falls on your shoulders because even if you're working on a producer level or an actor level, you get the credits, but ultimately everything falls on the director's shoulders, whether it is a success or not. It all comes down to the director. And so I think being a director is much harder than being an actor, although I will say that being a director made me a far better actor because I get, the importance of hitting that mark or being prepared or, why things happen the way that they are or why things are, why some shots come before others. I completely get that. So I think that being a director made me a better